You know that moment when you open your banking app, see a decent balance, and somehow your brain still goes, yeah, but what if something happens? If you've got even $2,000 set aside and you still feel uneasy, nothing is wrong with you. You're not irresponsible. You're not bad with money. You're simply in a stage most people are never taught how to recognize. The stage where your finances are improving faster than your confidence can catch up. This channel exists for people in exactly that phase. Winning Parade isn't about flashy tricks or overnight promises. It's about practical wealth psychology, understanding what financial progress actually looks like in real life, and learning how to think clearly once you're no longer in survival mode. Here's the truth that almost nobody says out loud. Once you move past pure paycheck-to-paycheck survival, the rules change. Money stops being about heroic last-minute saves and starts being about quiet systems that keep you steady. And if you've built even a few of those systems, you're probably doing much better than you feel. So let's make this practical. We're going to walk through the signs of real financial strength hiding in plain sight. Then we'll talk about the 2 mistakes that make stable people feel behind. And finally, we'll lock in a simple benchmark that tells you whether you're actually getting stronger without needing a bigger salary tomorrow. Here's a simple starting point. If you can handle a $500 surprise without putting it on a credit card, you're already ahead of a lot of people. If you can cover a $1,000 surprise in cash and still pay rent or your mortgage on time, that's a completely different level of breathing room. That's not rich. That's not fragile. And not being fragile is the first major win. Another sign people underestimate is predictability. If your bills are on auto pay, you're not overdrafting, and you're not playing whack-a-mole with late fees. You've built something powerful. You've built a calm baseline. Plenty of high earners never reach this point. They make more money, but live in constant financial chaos. Calm beats chaos every time. Let's talk about debt without drama. If you're not carrying a credit card balance month to month, or you've got one on a payoff plan where the number is actually shrinking, that's measurable progress. And if the only debt you have is a car loan or a mortgage at a single-digit interest rate, you're playing a very different game than someone juggling 20+% interest. That difference compounds quietly. Here's a sign that feels boring, but matters more than people realize. Your money has jobs, even if the amounts are small. If rent, groceries, and emergency savings are separated in your mind or your accounts, you're doing what financially stable people do. You're assigning instead of guessing. And once you assign, you stop accidentally spending future security. Now look at your savings rate, not your salary. If you're consistently saving 10% of your take-home pay, that's solid. If you're closer to 15 or 20%, you're building real momentum. And if that number dips some months but returns the next, that's not failure. That's resilience. And resilience matters more than one perfect month ever will. If you're investing at all, even $50 a week, you've started the engine. And the earlier you start, the more unfair compounding becomes in your favor. At a 7% average return, $200 a month over 20 years turns into roughly $100,000. That's not flashy. That's quietly buying future options. This week, check one number. Your bare minimum monthly cost to stay housed and alive. Add rent or mortgage, utilities, insurance, minimum debt payments, and groceries. If you have 1 month of that saved, you're building a floor. If you have 3 months, you've built a shock absorber. If you have 6 months, you've built freedom. Most people think financial health looks like a massive net worth screenshot. In real life, it looks like not panicking when the car makes a strange noise. Here are more signs people miss. If you're paying your bills on time without needing a miracle Friday paycheck, you've built cash flow stability. That's the foundation. It's like having traction on a wet road. You still drive carefully, but you're not spinning out every turn. If you can estimate your monthly expenses within about 10 minutes, you're ahead. You don't need a perfect spreadsheet. If you can say, my baseline is around $3,200 a month, you can plan. People who can't estimate their own life costs are always one surprise away from stress. If you've stopped using your credit card like it's an extension of your paycheck, that's a huge shift. Credit cards aren't evil. Rolling balances are expensive stress. Paying your statement balance most months is basically giving yourself a permanent raise by avoiding interest, if your emergency fund exists and isn't constantly being drained for normal life. That's another strong sign. Even $1,500 that stays put matters. The goal isn't a perfect number overnight. The goal is a fund that only gets touched when something actually breaks. And if you've replaced panic with a repair plan, you're healthier than you think. Meaning, when something hits, you don't freeze. You adjust. You cut back for a month. You pick up extra work if needed. You sell something, then you rebuild. That ability to respond is financial fitness. Here's a sneaky one. Your money habits don't depend on motivation anymore. If transfers happen automatically, you've crossed an important line. Motivation fades, systems don't. If payday hits and savings, investing and bills happen without effort, you've built a machine that runs even when you're tired. If you have retirement contributions coming out of your paycheck, that's another sign. Retirement accounts aren't for later. They're for not getting trapped. Even $100 per paycheck adds up faster than people expect. And if you're getting an employer match, you're taking free money. Leaving that on the table isn't a character flaw. It's just a fixable leak. Here's where many stable people misread their progress. Net worth swings. If your investments drop during a rough market, it can feel like you're losing. But price swings are not the same thing as your plan failing. If your timeline is 10 years or more, volatility is normal. The real sign of health is whether you keep contributing anyway. Another common mistake is obsessing over small spending while ignoring big fixed costs. People will stress over a $6 coffee while paying hundreds too much in rent or driving a car payment that eats their future. The better approach is focusing energy where it actually changes your life. Here's a quick scorecard. If housing costs are around 25 to 35% of take-home pay, you're usually in a workable zone. If it's 45% or more, life feels tighter even if you're doing everything else right. That's not failure. That's math. If total minimum debt payments are under 10% of take-home pay, you have room. If they're over 20%, you can still win. You just need stronger systems. No shame, just awareness. Now imagine two people, same age. Person A earns a high salary, drives an expensive car, eats out constantly, and keeps a thin buffer because money keeps coming in. They look successful. They feel stressed. Person B earns less, has an emergency fund, invests automatically, and lives with boring predictability. They don't look impressive. They sleep better. If you're closer to the second person, you're healthier than you think. Because financial health is about margin. Margin means mistakes don't explode your month. Margin means you can say no. Margin means surprises are annoying, not life-altering. Here's another strong sign. You have options. You can take a day off without fear. You can change jobs without desperation. You can help someone once without hurting yourself. Options are what money is supposed to buy. If you're enjoying your life and still saving, that balance is rare. And if costs are high where you live and things feel tight despite good habits, direction still matters more than perfection. Debt moving down, savings moving up, investing happening consistently, that's progress. Let's ground this in simple math. $500 a month invested at 7% becomes around $85,000 in 10 years. Over 20 years, it's over $260,000. That's repetition, not magic. The actions that build wealth are boring. Pay yourself first. Keep fixed costs reasonable. Kill high-interest debt. Automate investing. Increase income over time. Don't blow up the plan when emotions spike. Two traps make stable people feel unstable. First, comparing your behind-the-scenes to someone else's highlight reel. Second, confusing cash with safety. Cash is important. Only cash is fear disguised as caution. Healthy money has layers: bills, emergency funds, long-term investing. Here's something practical you can do this week. Set up one automatic transfer the day after payday, even $25. The amount matters less than the identity shift. You're someone who pays future you first. If content like this helps you think more clearly about money, that's exactly what this channel is for. Winning Parade is about calm, practical wealth thinking, not pressure, not hype. If you want more of that, make sure you're subscribed so these ideas stay in your feed when you need them. Another sign of health. You have boundaries. You don't loan money you can't afford to lose. You don't co-sign out of guilt. You can say no without apologizing. That's financial maturity. If you've got basic insurance in place, you're protecting progress. And if you've checked your credit score recently and know where you stand, that awareness matters. Not for borrowing recklessly, but because good credit lowers the cost of life. Here's the decision tree. Less than 1 month saved. Build your floor. 1 to 3 months. Strengthen your shock absorber and kill high-interest debt. 3 to 6 months. Invest consistently and control fixed costs. 6 months saved with 15 to 20% investing. You're not just healthy. Time is working for you. If you're not there yet, good. That means you have a clear next target. Pick one leak this month and redirect it. That's not restriction. That's momentum. If your bills are predictable, debt manageable, savings growing, and investing consistent, you are financially healthier than your anxiety suggests. The goal isn't to feel rich. It's to stop being fragile, then build options, then protect what you've built. If this reframed how you see your own progress, let me know in the comments. A lot of people are doing better than they think, and they just haven't been told how to see it yet.